Hello and welcome back to the Bloodhound Pix podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Craig.
I'm Kyle.
And this is Josh.
Okay, and this week we are going to be doing our one of our double features brought to you by Kyle. This will be airing in January, which at that time we will be. Right now we are recording in October, right before the presidential election. So we'll see where we're at when this episode finally comes out as a country. Uh, yeah, won't get more into that unless we want to turn this into an entirely different podcast. But Kyle, take it away. What were your double feat, or what was your double feature?
Yep. So I did a Gary Sherman double feature of Raw Meat, aka Deathline, or Deathline, aka Raw Meat, depending on what side of the pond you're on, and Dead and Buried. Um, so we can talk Raw Meat first, since it was the first chronological order or whatever. Um, so it's basically an American student and his girlfriend in London see an unconscious man that his girlfriend wants to report. Um, and long story short, there is a cannibal of sorts that has been trapped in sort of an abandoned tunnel underneath the subway, who comes up to kill people. And Donald Pleasance is kind of the main detective on the case, who is absolutely hilarious in this movie.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of the gist. I'll throw it to these guys to see what you guys thought.
Okay. So this was I was telling them before, this was my first time watching both of these movies, even though I've known about them or seen the poster for as long as I've been a big horror fan. Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. It was kind of, I started to read up on it a little bit before, or what I've heard about it from before. It's marketed a lot as a almost like a hill, and I know it's from the same, inspired by the same source material or something as The Hills Have Eyes, or the same story in some way. Um, and it's marketed as like this Hills Have Eyes type film, but it's actually it deals with a lot of economic issues of London of the time, of kind of dealing with the class struggle and stuff like that. And no, I liked it a lot. It shows Donald Pleasance in a role that I think, especially in the States, were so, like many British actors of that time were, for example, Alec Guinness, even though he did a slew of other stuff where you always associate him with Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Donald Pleasance was an incredible, highly trained actor, all of this stuff. And then we always associate him, of course, with either Halloween or movies like that. And this really shows that he plays, these other characters, and he's plays a hysterical kind of part. And he has a scene with Christopher Lee, who is barely in the movie but has top billing for some reason. And that part is, of course, funny as well. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this one, and more than I thought I would, because the original Hills Have Eyes, I could kind of take it or leave it type of thing. But yeah, it was really interesting.
Sure was. Um, I'm very familiar with Raw Meat, aka Deathline, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I think too that scene that we're talking about that we mentioned with Christopher Lee, I think he had initially a much bigger part written, and he got a better deal. He got a better role in another film, and I think he was going to drop out completely, and then I don't know. He somehow was convinced that he should stay on for the day or whatever it would have taken that to film that one scene. And it's the way it's cut is just awkward as shit, because it's like they're both kind of like staring straight into the camera. It's just a dialogue scene, right?
Yeah.
Christopher Lee is basically like staring right into the camera. Then it cuts to Donald Pleasance and his deputy guy, and they're both staring right into the camera. Clearly they're not both there in the room at the same time. And I think even the very last shot where you see Christopher Lee in the background, I don't think it's really him.
he said that when I was reading up on it, that he would do the movie or at least do that small role if he could have a scene with Donald Pleasance. That was his his
That's
big
awesome.
thing, apparently.
Well, and it was like when before that scene, or when that scene starts, Donald Pleasance, what does he say? He's like, I should have known that you would show up, meaning like he already knows the character. It was very strange. But yeah, I mean, it was clear that either something got cut and but it's funny that he's in it and that he is the next billed actor after Donald
Yeah.
Pleasance, because it's literally what, a fucking 60-second long scene.
Yeah.
It's a great. It's a great
yeah.
60 seconds.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. This film's fucking amazing. I love it. It was great. I hadn't seen it in some time, so getting to revisit it, just made me like it even more. It also made me realize too, how fucking annoying the students, especially the girl, is. I didn't really remember that she needs punched in the face. Did you know? Kyle mentioned that the very first thing you see is this guy basically getting assaulted by this cannibal, and then the main sort of American student, it's a male and a female, they're on the subway and they get out, and this guy is unconscious, and she's like, oh, we need to call the cops, and the dude's like, yeah, okay, let's go and tell someone. And she just keeps bitching and complaining that he didn't do enough, and it's like, what the fuck did you want him to do? He went and told the police. I mean, shut the fuck up. But that bit of annoyance aside, yeah, it's great, and it's funny too, because you get these scenes of the cannibal guy whose apparent like love interest, cannibal woman, dies, and he's obviously really saddened by this, and they do like this, I don't know if it's intentionally done, but they really make you feel bad for the guy, which you're not really, it's strange. It's not like you feel bad for feeling bad for a bad character, but yeah, it's strange the way that the way it's played out. And I also found myself asking too, like, dude, your cannibal woman just died. Why don't you, I don't know, why don't you get out of this collapsed tunnel that you've been living in for who knows how many years? Start your life over, man. Just go above and make a fresh start, dude.
Well, because they've been like in there their whole inbreeding,
Well,
and kind of
yeah, I was gonna say,
Right.
I mean, it's,
he doesn't know any better.
I
guess.
can't remember what year they say the tunnel was abandoned, because I was
It's
almost
supposed
like
to be 100 years or somewhere around there.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
it's like multiple
past time.
generations of inbred
Yeah.
Yep.
underground dwellers.
I mean, but still, he's all by himself now, and it's like, bro, you can go above, man, and get yourself a haircut, maybe go to the doctor, dude, just
No,
this killing shit's got to stop, man.
Get
that's
yourself a job, cut your hair.
Exactly.
that would be the movie if they remade it in 2020. It'd be like, look,
It would.
cannibal guy, don't kill me. You need to love yourself. Maybe we can get your hair cut, do some yoga, work on that skin. It's all really nasty. You won't be so angry.
He learns transcendental meditation.
Oh God. I like that you brought up the annoying girlfriend, but I love that.
Fuck, dude.
I love that the boyfriend doesn't give a shit. I just like that kind of protagonist where he's like, dude, in New York, we would just fucking walk over this guy. No one gives a shit. He's probably drunk.
Yeah, and then like she gets the chick gets so upset at the guy for basically nothing that she packs her bags and is like, I'm leaving. And then what happens? She comes back And the dude just like, oh, you're back. Okay, great.
He's kind of a badass.
You know?
But I like that it seems like all the well, except for the girlfriend, all the characters kind of don't give a shit. Like Donald Pleasance kind of is interested once he finds out that guy was important, but no one is like, it doesn't have that classic trope of like someone that saw something that they know that no one will believe, or anyone thinking like there's something more to the story. They're just kind of like, yeah, I guess we'll look into this missing person, see what that's about.
Well, that's what I'll say. Well, I'll just say it now because I was gonna kind of comment on it when we get to Dead and Buried. But both of these movies, they're done in such a way where they play like I don't know, like a film where you think you know where the film's going, but they add a kind of unique twist to it. We'll get to Dead and Buried and give what that twist is next, but where it makes it unique in this way, where it's not just your standard slasher, it's not just your whatever. There is this element that they throw in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially with Dead and Buried, I didn't see any of that coming. But yeah, both of them are super unique and super. They don't feel very derivative, but they fit into the genre. And like Red Meat is really way funnier than it would be advertised as being.
Yeah.
And then and Josh brought it up too, where it's like you do sympathize with the cannibal guy, which is just weird because I think it's more interesting because of his whole backstory. You don't think that he's really an evil character. He just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and this is how he survives. And so it does sort of play into what you brought up about class struggle in the beginning, Craig, of like, it's someone who's been forced into some weird, desperate situation rather than just like what would be typical of the like Hills of Eyes or something.
Yeah, which I watched the trailer right before because that's the only thing I didn't do. I watched the trailer right before we kind of started recording, and that's how it definitely was marketed, as like a Hills Have Eyes or Last House on the Left. The trailer is cut that way. It has the voiceover that kind of mimics that kind of sentiment, but it's not one of those movies.
It's probably
this was before Hills Have Eyes though, by several years.
It was 72, I think, or this.
Yeah. It's weird though. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know how well it did or how popular it was, but I'm sure if you saw that trailer though, and then you watch this movie, you're like, this isn't, if you wanted to see some gritty thing, it's not really what it is at all.
Yeah. Okay. Are we going on to Dead and Buried?
Dead and Buried, 1981. So this is basically a small town in Potter's Bluff, called Potter's Bluff. Is there's a bunch of murders happening, and we kind of see that the townspeople are committing them, and there's some sort of cult kind of thing going on, but we don't really know the details of it. And the sheriff is investigating, and it's said that this was his hometown, and he, I guess, moved away, and now he came back and he's the sheriff. But there's this kind of element that he's like the outsider amongst everybody, and it seems like he's going to team up. This doesn't really happen, but it seems like he's going to team up with the coroner, who's Jack Albertson, who was the uncle in
Grandpa Joe.
Yeah, and who is amazing in this. So it's trying to solve these murders and figure out what exactly is going on in Potter's Bluff.
Yeah, it's his also his last on-screen role too.
Yeah, it's a good last role.
Yeah.
So what'd you guys think?
So as I mentioned, this is one of those posters that I've seen, or covers that I've seen, as long as I've watched horror and been in a video store. I just never picked it up, and even when it was on Amazon, throughout the years, I'll always see it, and then for some reason watch something else. And I liked it a lot. I was surprised I didn't get around to it because it's right up my alley. Are we going to give spoilers?
We are. Spoiler alert.
Okay.
I think we have to.
Yeah, that's the only way to really talk about it. So the spoiler alert is that
it is 39 years old too.
Yeah, that the townspeople are all reanimated corpses in a way. So they're killing them and then reanimating them to make this kind of perfect town type of element to it, but it feels, again, it plays off like this normal slasher at first, that gets into this whole zombie aspect, which you think it's either a cult, then you think it's this witchcraft voodoo thing, and so on. And it came out in 81, and even though it's still in the 80s,
Feels very 70s.
yeah, it feels like it takes the kind of 70s slasher, the 70s conspiracy kind of thriller that you see with like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or stuff like that, and it brings into this like, I don't know, science-y 80s element that we started to see in that time. I feel like if it came out a couple years later, it would have maybe done better. I don't know. It's in this weird in between when, like, if it came out a little bit more after The Thing or with The Fly or stuff like that, it almost fits into that kind of element more. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and I am ashamed that I haven't watched it until now. And I actually immediately, as I was watching it, was looking up to buy it. Like midway through the movie, I really wanted to, and it's a lot of fun, and it plays, if you like the 70s slasher, if you like those conspiracy ones, or if you like kind of that zombie sci-fi element, it's all in there, and it even has the humor to it, I guess, in some weird way. But
Yeah, this is another one I'm really familiar with. I hadn't seen it in several years either, so Josh had a few and put Dead and Buried on. And yeah, it's, you know, I thankfully I knew I knew damn well what was really going on. I didn't forget that. It's kind of hard to forget that once you know. But another thing that I guess I did forget was that the script is written by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett, which is unfucking real.
But
yeah,
I read up on it, and it said that, or Dan O'Bannon said he
sent notes or something that Ronald Shusett didn't take.
Yeah, Ronald Shusett, he just wanted to use Dan O'Bannon's name on the script or something. He didn't actually want.
Which is funny that Dan O'Bannon's mad about it, because I'm like, this is a really good written movie.
Just take the credit.
Yeah, he must have thought that it was gonna be the biggest piece of shit, you know, at the time, because yeah, why would he care?
Yeah.
So yeah, this film's amazing. I think I like it more than I like Raw Meat. I mean, it's a little. Donald Pleasance is a huge reason that Raw Meat works so well, because he's just fucking a drunken fanatic and just an asshole, which is hilarious. But I think the story is a little more engaging in Dead and Buried. It presents this mystery. You literally don't have a fucking, well, I mean, seeing it for the first time, you have no idea what's going on, and you know, you're just like the characters. You're just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, because it's very bizarre. I mean, you see these people murdering, you know, pretty much everyone, and they just seemingly do it for no reason and take pictures of it, which is fucking weird.
Yeah.
So it's a very kind of engaging story that you know, it's a lot more accessible than, say, like the story for the first film is. But yeah, it go ahead, Craig.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, which I read some of the reviews for it during the time, and one of the complaints were I guess at the time was the script was too complex of a script to be for the slasher fans to like it. I don't know, that was their whole thing, but it wasn't complex enough for it was, again, some weird middle ground. That's how they said it didn't do well. I don't remember all of that review, but that was the consensus, I guess.
That's rubbish.
Which yeah, I mean, it's makes a weird kind of sense that's the kind of stupid bullshit that would get brought up. I mean, because, you know, it isn't the most complex thing, but you know, it's got a little more substance to it than, you know, like Raw Meat does. But I mean, fuck, come on, man. Yeah, the film's brilliant, but it is unfortunately one of those things that it doesn't really replay well, just because, you know, it kind of hinges on this whole like shock ending that, you know, is something that I don't really think was done all that often, especially in 1981. I mean, I don't even know if it was done at all, you know. I mean, I'm sure you could find some examples, but the way that this ending plays out, you know, this sheriff has been, you know, kind of trying to solve this mystery the entire runtime, and you know, he makes the discovery, like was mentioned, that basically everyone in this town is a zombie, including his wife, that he's had sex with too. And then, you know, it's also revealed that he himself is a zombie, and that's kind of how it ends. And it's just like this big, like, gut punchy way of it's presented that way. And does come out of fucking nowhere, and it's extremely surprisingly, and it's surprising, and it's really well done.
Yeah.
It's
so
justified
or earned, I'd say.
It's very, I mean, it makes total sense. And yeah, the film is just, it's very strange. I think it might be Gary Sherman's best movie. Let us not forget he did make Poltergeist 3 though. And it's extremely odd, not just the story, but the way that the story is told via, you know, Gary Sherman directing. So yeah, this is a highly recommended one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite of the two as well. And I only saw it for the first time recently, but the mystery just works so much better than most movies that try to do a mystery, just even a regular mystery, let alone like a sort of a horror mystery. But and it's got that great sleazy slasher style opening.
Yeah.
You know, where they're gonna like have sex on the beach, and then the guy gets attacked, and just all the kind of reveals of seeing the waitress who was there. So then you know it's the townspeople, and then seeing the dead guy is now alive, and you're like, what the fuck? And no one notices. And
Robert Englund plays in that too.
Yes.
That beginning is really fucking whacked out. I forgot the way that scene played out, and then seeing it again, it's just like, holy shit, I was not expecting that to go that way at all.
Yeah, it's such a twist on what the movie's gonna be. It sets you up for something totally different. And I just think like Jack Albertson is so good.
He's good.
And he's such a weird, quirky character that you're like, oh, this is just a weird, quirky coroner guy. Like, I'm sure the sheriff is gonna keep coming back to him to find out more shit. So when the twist happens that he is like the puppet master of this whole thing, you're like, wait, what? Holy shit! Did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking about how he's got to like fucking put makeup and shit on dead bodies, and how he's gonna make them look really good.
Yeah, his monologues are so good.
Yeah.
He treats him like, because it's like he's creating art in a way.
Right.
And he talks about how he's used the skin from the back of the scalp to replace on the front of the scalp. And he gets upset at the sheriff at one point of saying, like, you made me, give him a closed casket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're ruining my work, basically, or something.
It's pretty ridiculous.
You brought me that burnt steak that started to smell. That's how he basically phrases it.
He's so good. He's worth seeing the movie alone for. Yeah. And James Ferrantino, who looks like Roddy McDowell.
Yeah.
When you see him, he's actually really good. It's weird. Like, I've never seen that person in anything else, but he really does a good job of like anchoring the movie and making it feel real and playing into all that. There's also, we didn't talk about Stan Winston's fucking awesome.
Oh, right. Yeah.
His effects. Like, especially the upside down, when you first see that burnt body in the car at the beginning, and then it screams. That effect scared the shit out of me. I didn't expect that thing to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did anyone, I think, Craig, did you mention a 12-year-old Robert Englund too?
Yes.
Yeah.
God damn, he
Yeah.
looks young.
He's like the, I don't know, is he the deputy? I can't
No,
remember.
he's like a tow
He
truck
pulls
driver.
the cars out of the.
Yeah, he's like a salvage guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like probably the only thing you could critique this movie for is like some of the townspeople are great character actors that could have been in it more, I guess. But yeah, I just think it's a total sleeper movie that
Yeah.
more people
Yeah,
should
it
see.
is.
I'm surprised it is one, and we've talked about this on a couple episodes recently. I'm surprised it's one that nobody's tried to do like at least bought the rights for it to do some remake or something, because it just seems like one of those films that somebody would have.
It's too out there.
I know.
It's too out there. There's no way.
It's so good though. Like you wouldn't even have to do that. Like you could keep so much of the structure too, though, if you did remake it. Like all those twists fucking work so well.
Well, they'd probably remake into something, I guess.
Yeah, the sheriff would be like fucking a Hemsworth brother or something for no reason.
He'd be shirtless the whole time.
Yeah, and we'd just be like, okay.
As the sheriff.
Yeah.
You could probably, if they did remake it, it'd be awesome if they got Robert Englund to be the Jack Albertson part.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
So for anybody listening to it who has the money to finance, we can write the remake of Dead and Buried.
Yes.
And anyone who knows Robert Englund.
Yeah.
That's all we need. All right, I guess that's all for those two.
Okay, so that is our episode. The next time we are recording will be, I think, a little ways from now, but it'll be Josh's episode will be the next one. And yeah, hopefully, well, since this is us recording in the past and will be in the future, hopefully you had a great holiday and New Year, and the world hasn't been blown up, and we're not this isn't just being recorded or broadcast from a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, to all those viewers out there in the post-apocalyptic London underground subway tunnel, I'm sorry that this is the shit you're listening to.
Yeah.
Get out of there. Get out of there and get a haircut.
Take care of your skin.
Yeah.
Bloodhound Pix podcast is part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcast Network. Produced by Josh Lee, Craig Drum, and Kyle Hintz. Music by Raymond Seed. Editing by Kyle Hintz.